Hiya, today I thought I'd just share with you how I organise and store my clear stamps. I don't have a huge amount of clear stamps. This is pretty much all of them that I have here. So I just wanted to show you, I've bought this plastic container here, to show you from the side, from Kmart. I think it's a desk tidy, I think they call it. So you can see the back section's taller than the front section. And then in there I have my various stamps organised. So for example, the section here, I have all my Jane Davenport stamps. So these are 4x6" stamps, and these ones are my Kelly Creates 4x6" stamps. So what I do with these, just to show you one, I stamp the actual stamp set on a piece of paper here, and then you can flip that open and you can see there are the stamps which I can take out. So the backing piece of the stamp set I have washied onto here, and then I always name them here, so with who the stamp set's from and what the stamp set might be called if it has an actual specific name, and then they just all stay in there. So the reason I do that, a lot of stamps I find hard to see, even with the white backing on, I find hard to see what they're like when they're just on the sheet, and I like to actually have it stamped, and that way I can see what the stamp set looks like, and also I can see sort of how well it stamps for me. So for example, if you look at these stamp sets here, this one is a Prima Marketing one. It's an okay one, but it's not the best of stamping. This one here, I can't get a good stamp out of it really at all. So this is a Happy Planner stamp set. These both are. And you can see from there that that's sort of the stamping quality that I get out of them. Whereas I get super good quality out of, you can see here, Jane Davenport stamps, and Kelly Creates stamps are excellent stamping quality out of those. With this I can flick through them, and I also have a stamp block back here. So you can see I can flip through them, or I can take a section out and look at them. I have them washied differently also so I can recognise them. So these ones, for example, Jane Davenport, I have some Jane Davenport washi on them. And then these ones here, these huge ones, they're also Kelly Creates. I've done all of these ones in black, and I just have different washi. So all of the letter and word ones, I have this black washi on. And you can also see at the back here, I store some of my bigger blocks for stamping. And then these ones, I just have this washi on here. You can see they stamp really well. These are all of my Planners Anonymous stamps. So these are monthly stamps that come in a kit, and I've used a washi from the monthly kit on the side and sort of picked a colour from the kit to use as the stamp. And I used to store them all in this. So this is just a 4x6 photo box, and it looks nice from the spine when you look at all that, and it's easy to keep all the stamps contained. They're also out of the dust. So you can do that, but not all my stamps would fit in these, which is why I was looking for a solution that I can put some of my bigger stamps into. So I also have these 5x7 photo cases, which are stored in a big container, just here, all the colours of the rainbow. So they also fit in here. You can see that they also fit in there for storage. But I actually like having them all out and having them all together. It's actually making me use my stamps a lot more, because when they're all packed away, sometimes it can be hard to remember to actually use them. And I'm actually enjoying using them at the moment. So I just pop them off to the side there, and I'll show you with this latest stamp that I got from Planners Anonymous for the Getaway kit exactly what I do. So basically I'm too lazy to peel all of the stamps off and stamp them. That sounds like a bit of a mission. So all I do is I peel, this is brand new, haven't used it. I peel the backing off it. Using an anti-slip surface is good, such as this mat. And then I choose an ink colour to go with it. I might use a green with this one because it's a, well, it's actually a beachy scene, but I'll go with green. And then I also get my stamp block. So the stamps that I've used for stamping all my stamps, and pretty much the only stamps I use now, are these VersaFine Clear stamps, and I also have the older VersaFine in black. There is a new VersaFine Clear, also black, but that one's still going. So I love these VersaFine Clear pigment inks. They're for me. Very first time that I stamp, I'm probably not going to get a very good image because the stamp hasn't actually been used. So I normally just get a piece of paper. This is the paper that I do stamp all the other ones on. It's 120 GSM paper, but this is just a bit of an offcut left over. So I ink up the stamp, making sure there's a good amount of ink on it. So there we have the whole thing inked up. Then I sit the paper on it and just hold that down while I get the block, and then I can push down on these corners here to push the block all the way down, and then I just move around a little bit to try and get everything down. The block's a little bit smaller than the stamp, so I just move it a little bit to the side and give that side a push, and make sure that that side's nicely pushed as well. And then just lift the block off and lift the piece of paper away. So that's after the very first stamp. You can see this one's a bit blotchy. And the girls are a little bit blotchy. So the second stamp should be a bit better. It's just something about new stamps. They never stamp well the first time. I'm not a stamping expert though, so I'm sure some of you out there are stamping experts. I'll put some more ink on there. Just going to make sure I ink that leaf up nicely, and the girl down the bottom, so that hopefully this time I'll get a clearer stamp. And then here's a piece of my 120 GSM paper. Actually, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Sorry, I didn't realise I was out so far. So just push that down, do a little run around with my hand. Just being careful not to actually move the piece of paper, so keep one hand still at all times, and then I'll just use the block to just help evenly apply pressure everywhere. So I'm getting quite a lot of ink on the page and off the stamp because the piece of paper is sitting there for a little while. This 120 GSM paper is what I use for all my planner inserts to print them on. Okay, and then just lift that off, and you can see here the impression is a little bit better than it was the first time. There's still a few patches. This one's come out well, so the first time I didn't get the edge there, and this time I did. I've still got a few sort of bubbles on the leaf there and a little bubble on the girl. So I might just try, I've got this piece of paper here, so I'm just going to try one more stamp. If you have a brayer, you could use that. But this technique's what I've used for all of my stamping when I've tried to stamp the whole sheet, and I've been pretty happy with it really. So one thing, when I do stamp them individually on a smaller acrylic block, I may get a better impression than what I get when I stamp the entire thing. If I do get a really good impression with this, I'm more than likely going to get a really good impression when I do actually use the stamp as intended. So we'll lift that up. So that's looking a bit better there. There's still a couple of little patches on the leaves, which the ink hasn't gone on. Oh, and I chopped the top off. So I'm just going to use this one to show you what I now do. First of all, I'll just get a wipe and wipe the stamp. Okay, I just use baby wipes to clean my stamps. Okay, so I'm going to use the second stamp I did just to show you what I do next. So the next thing is to cut the piece of paper to size. Just use my paper trimmer for this. And I need to measure the size of the stamp. It's pretty much 4 by 5.5 inches. So here I need to measure 4, and that's right on the edge. So I want some space for washi on that side. So I'll just cut this one on the edge. And that gives me a bit more space on this side for the washi. Just try and cut a little bit more off. 4 inches, and then it was just over 5.5 this way. Okay, so I need to chop a little bit off the bottom. I've left too much white space on the bottom because I certainly don't want to cut the stamp off. So you can see it's not a precise science at all. It's just a matter of cutting it to be the right size. Now we've got the bit of paper. The next thing to do is just to get the washi to put along here. I'm using the 15mm washi that came in the kit, and basically just run that along the edge there. I don't want to cover the stamp up, so you can see I haven't even got half of the washi on the front, but there's certainly enough to hold it. Now just trim the washi. I then normally leave a gap of like a few millimeters on a few millimeters before I pop the plastic down. So there's the paper, there's a maybe 3mm gap there, and then the plastic. That just leaves space for this because this is a little bit bulky. So then you can just pop your stamp back on the backing card, and that will fold over like so, and it'll stay closed because you've left the little gap which accounts for the extra space. So then I can label that up there, the Planners Anonymous Getaway kit, and then I can pop it in the front here because my kits go from oldest to newest, and I pop it in the front, and then it's ready to use with all of my other stamps. So hopefully you enjoyed this. You might think it's a complete waste of time, which is fine, each to their own. But I really like it because I can see the stamps so much more easily when they're stamped out, and then by having all of my stamps together in one place like this, I really do use them more. So that's my share of the day. So thanks for watching. Bye.